In a heartfelt eulogy shared on Facebook, Hsien Yang paid tribute to his sister, Dr. Lee Wei Ling, who passed away on 9 October 2024 at the age of 69. Her funeral is being held on 12 October. He described Dr. Lee as an extraordinary individual whose contributions to medicine and devotion to their family were immense. Hsien Yang also expressed profound sorrow over the loss of his beloved sister. He shared that Dr. Lee had requested a simple funeral, with her ashes to be scattered at sea. Reflecting on their final moments, he recalled bidding her farewell in June 2022 and expressed regret that he could not attend her final send-off. He also thanked his sons, Li Huanwu and Li Xiaowu, for managing Dr. Lee's care during his absence. LHY conveyed a message from Dr. Lee, in which she reaffirmed their parents' wish for their home at 38 Oxley Road to be demolished after their deaths. LHY emphasized that Dr. Lee fully understood and supported their father's strong opposition to any form of deification. As she had stated in a 2016 Facebook post, 1 year after his death,
Papa was always very open and public about his wishes. In that period from 2003 to his passing in 2015, he spoke with Ling extensively, including on his hopes and his concerns for the future. Everyone knows that Papa was always against any deification of himself and was against monuments or memorials. Ling knew how strongly he felt.
He went on to share how Dr. Lee had encouraged him to stand by her in advocating for their father's wishes. In his eulogy, LHY also reflected on their childhood, recalling how they grew up playing together. He described her as a fighter throughout her life, always ready to speak truth to power and challenge wrongs, comparing her to a modern-day Don Quixote. He praised her academic brilliance, recalling how she graduated at the top of her medical school class, although she had initially aspired to be a veterinarian. Despite this, Dr. Lee sought her parents' approval and became highly accomplished in her medical career. LHY highlighted that Dr. Lee was a brilliant doctor with exceptional clinical skills, noting how he and his wife, Lee Suet Fern, would often consult her whenever any of their 3 sons faced medical issues.
Bedside manners were not her forte, and completely in character, she never sugarcoated her diagnosis to patients. But she was straightforward and would always be a patient's best champion. I've heard myself countless stories of patients' gratitude for this and have learned of a few more since her passing.
LHY also spoke of her passion for writing, noting that she enjoyed expressing her thoughts and opinions in a popular weekly newspaper column.
She was deeply disappointed when it was terminated in 2016. Each week, we would always hear her at home, her excited plans for her next article, and her book compendium of articles made the bestsellers list, to a huge delight.
LHY then reflected on her role as the primary caregiver for their parents in their old age, a responsibility that typically falls to an unmarried daughter in many families.
Ling lived her entire life at 38 Oxley Road. It was the only home she knew, and she wanted to live out her days in her home. It was for this reason that Papa gave her that right to live there. He knew it meant much to her. In the years following Mama's first stroke in 2003, Ling cared for Mama and became Papa's primary companion and confidant at home. Although as 2 strong personalities, they sometimes disagreed, they also became much closer.
He then reflected on Dr. Lee's pragmatic approach to death, noting that she had specifically designated him and his middle son, Huanwu, to make decisions regarding her care.
As they were both middle children, she had always seen in Huan a kindred spirit, and the 2 of them had holidayed together. It has been my privilege, with Huan's help, to deal with her affairs and organize her care arrangements during her illness.
LHY further thanked the doctors and caregivers who helped Dr. Lee.
I'm deeply grateful to her doctors, Dr. Philip Yap of Khoo Teck Puat Hospital and Professor Tan Eng Keng of NNI. In addition, Wee Tin, Jackie, Nurse Michelle, Lina, Cheng Piao, and many others have all helped with the care for Ling. Thank you.
In March last year, LHY posted on Facebook, "I am heartbroken that my own country has made me a fugitive for standing up for my father's promise, Lee Kuan Yew." In response to media queries, LHY confirmed he would not be returning to Singapore for his sister's wake or funeral. He mentioned that he is overseeing the arrangements remotely, with the support of his son, Lee Huan Wu, in line with Dr. Lee's wishes. LHY and his family have been under various investigations by the Singapore government following the public-family dispute in 2016. His wife, Lee Suet Fern, was suspended for 15 months over alleged misconduct as a lawyer related to the handling of LKY's last will. His son, Lee Shengwu, was fined for contempt of court over a private Facebook post and not returned to Singapore since the Attorney General's chambers commenced legal actions against him. Lee Shengwu posted earlier on X, expresses regret at being unable to attend her funeral. Both LHY and his wife are currently being investigated over alleged perjury during the tribunal hearing of his wife's case, which LHL claims to be baseless. While the Singapore police have said that LHY and LSF are free to return to Singapore, there is a risk of them being arrested or having their passports impounded during the investigation, the duration of which cannot be determined if they choose to return.